Hi, and welcome to this week's edition of the Atalo Office 365 Insider with me, Mark Stokes. As usual, we're going to talk through all of the different items that are going on in the Office 365 Message Center. So we'll evaluate what the different issues are currently on the platform for my tenant, and also what issues have been closed over the last 5 days, so you can get an understanding of what's been going on the environment. And also then we'll look at the roadmap. So we're going to look at different changes to the Office 365 roadmap. So what items have been cancelled, what items have finished rolling out, what items have started rolling out, and what items have gone into development. So hopefully this gives you the ability to support your users and your customers across the platform, so you know what's changing and you're better prepared to manage for all your users and your customers. So what we're trying to do, I didn't do one last week, so we've got 2 weeks to cover now. There's not an awful lot on there, so it shouldn't keep you more than half an hour. But let's dive straight in. As usual, I have had some feedback on the format of this, so I know it can be a little bit dry at times. There's a lot of information to get through. I am trying to work on how we might be able to improve this and make it a little more engaging. So if anyone has any ideas of how you might want to see it different, please do let me know. I'm open to ideas. I'm thinking of some ideas. I want to try and make it as engaging as possible, but it is kind of dry content really, just to give you a fact check of what's happening on the environment. So please do feel free to get in touch. Please do give me comments. I don't get offended. So if you want to see it presented in a different way, do let me know. So what we'll do, we'll jump straight in. Let's go into the message center items here. So what we can see, there are currently 5 open issues in the message center in my tenant, and there's 12 that have been closed over the last 2 weeks. Now, key thing to bear in mind is this is my tenant. Office 365 is broken down into multiple different sections and subsections of Office 365. So these issues may not be the same on yours, but it gives us an overview of what's happening on the platform as a whole. And it's kind of interesting when it gives us a view of what major products like Exchange maybe they're working on at a particular time when we see groups of those issues together. So apparently I've got 5 open issues, and let's take a quick look of what they are at the moment. So this is general administration, so admins may see some occasional gaps of core data missing from September the 5th through September the 6th. Now, we often see a lot of issues around reporting, so Microsoft definitely still has a lot of work to do on keeping those usage reports up to date and accurate. We do see that pretty much every week at the moment. So secondly, users, for Teams, users who are given control by a presenter during a Microsoft Teams meeting are unable to control the screen. So you might find that some of your issues are experiencing this. They may be raising support tickets with you, and it's important for you to know that this is an issue on the platform and maybe not something you can resolve until you wait for Microsoft to fix it. That's been going on since the 1st of September, so that's been ongoing for a little while now. Okay, so approximately 3% of users may intermittently be unable to sign into the Outlook mobile app. Don't know what 3% of users that might be, but apparently there's a small section there who can't access it. Yammer Enterprise, so some users experiencing delays syncing groups, membership, and admin or user profile updates in Yammer. That's been going on since the 26th of August, so a little while. So email and calendar access, so a very limited number of users may intermittently be unable to access Exchange Online via any connection method. This has been going on for a few weeks now, so we can see here this particular incident is the 26th of August. We've definitely seen this ongoing, so there does seem to be some underlying issues that's quite long term here, because we do see this an awful lot. Okay, so there are 12 incidents closed as well over the last 2 weeks. Let's have a look at what they are. So users aren't seeing automatic sensitivity labels applied in Office for the web clients. This is in OneDrive for Business. There's actually a false positive, so when we have a false positive, it means it was reported into the message center, but under investigation, it was identified not actually to be an issue. So it could be a user issue, misreported, or some other issue that services like this. So that actually wasn't a real issue in the end, apparently. Okay, so the Office 365 portal, some users can't search within office.com, bing.com, or Microsoft 365 services. All users with personal power automate accounts may be unable to access the connections page. That was a false positive as well, so that one turned out to not actually be an issue. All users may be unable to view search results when manually searching instead of selecting an auto-complete option. This is for Yammer. It'd be nice if we had a bit more detail and a bit more of a description on these. Some users may have been unable to sign into Skype for Business. That was a false positive as well. So it's like a lot of false reporting going on recently. All users can't share items with or grant permission to everyone except external users group in SharePoint Online. All users may have encountered Office 365 usage reporting delays. Yeah, we see this one over and over. So even though this is closed, I wouldn't be surprised if this comes back at some point. Admins may be unable to migrate some mailboxes. Again, we've seen this a number of times. So this one was the 26th of August to the 8th of September. So admins may have had some migration issues. Exchange Online networking issues. Any admin may be unable to publish public key text records or enable domain keys, identified mail settings. Again, it'd be nice to have some better descriptions rather than just a near repeat of the title. So Exchange Online, some admins can't complete mailbox migrations. Okay, we've just seen that. All admins can't manage members in new email-enabled security groups. Let's just repeat that. So again, Exchange Online. So again, we're still seeing quite a few issues with Exchange. There's a common thread going on over the last couple of months. All admins, Microsoft 365 administration is a false positive. All admins see low usage for calls and meetings data in Microsoft Teams user activity reports since June 28. Apparently that's a false positive. Okay, so all in all, actually not bad going. Feels like that's pretty stable, so not many significant issues there. So that's all the issues in my tenant. Like I say, yours may vary. So what we'll do now is we'll go and look at the roadmap for Office 365. So let's see what's new on the platform and if there's anything there of interest. So if we scoot back over to the screen here. So no cancelled items, that's nice. Normally when we get cancelled items, that tends to be the fact they're merged with a different topic or a duplicate. We don't often see things actually cancelled, so nothing in there today. So what we've got then, we've got 36 new items that have completed the launch, 21 items that have entered the rolling out stage, and 42 items that have gone into development. Important to note, as I say every week, this isn't the full set of items in launch, rolling out or in development. This is the new items in that category. So we don't want to go through everything and repeat ourselves every single week. So if you do watch this week on week, you'll have the full information on what's happening. Obviously, you can go to the roadmap site at Microsoft itself to get the full listing. So this is just to highlight what's changed in the roadmap. So we'll start with the launched items, and by launch what we mean is this should now be available in all Office 365 tenants. Not necessarily government or DoD tenants, but all regular Office 365 tenants. Launch means you should see these in your own tenant now. Okay, so Microsoft Teams multi-window meetings and calling experience. So the multi-window experiences have now come to Teams meetings and calling, and users will have the ability to pop out meetings and calling in separate windows to help them optimize their workflow. This is great. So I've been using this recently. I do like the fact that I can actually have my calls in a separate window. It did used to frustrate me previously. Let me just change something. I can try and turn off Capture Mouse. Okay, so it did annoy me when I was in a call, but I couldn't actually go over to a different Microsoft Teams to share what I was looking at. So this is really actually quite nice. I'm glad this is coming. Okay. So what else is launched? Microsoft Teams Reflect messaging extension. So this gives managers, leaders or teachers an easy way to check in with how their team or students are feeling, either in general or about specific topic like work-life balance. Yeah, we discussed this last week. Nice, it's a way for kind of remote learning. This has got education in mind. We've been doing something similar internally when people are working from home or working remotely. Just a little way to reach out to people and find out how they're feeling and identify people who may be struggling a bit so that we can go and give them some additional support. So it's nice to see that come in. Just be aware your GDPR and your data protection and privacy rights within tools like that. Education Insights for school leaders. So this new Insights app in Microsoft Teams for Education enables leaders to closely track the engagement, online activities and progress of students within their institution or district over time to help uncover and drive better learning outcomes. Microsoft Teams, improvements to settings and assignments. We've seen a lot of work in education. I think with the global epidemic that we've been seeing lately, we've definitely seen a big ramp up in efforts on the education side of things from Microsoft. So we're probably going to see a lot more of them today as well, and we'll see that carry on. So educators will be able to set defaults for when assignments are due, when notifications of an assignment are posted, and more. Settings are class specific. So again, education, assignments, user interface improvements for large classes. So improve the speed of viewing and creating assignments for classes of up to 200 students. Again, education, grade sync to one roster API. That's now fully rolled out. Roster updates from school data sync automatically update the class notebook roster. So updates to the school data sync roster will now automatically flow to the roster within the OneNote class notebook, helping educators save time. OneNote and Teams. Set channels to create sections in collaboration space or content library. So with this update, educators will now have the opportunity to elect whether the new OneNote sections should be created in a collaboration space, which can be edited by students and teachers, or a content library, which is editable by teachers, but only viewed by students. Education again. OneNote in Teams, teacher-only section group enabled by default. Windows VDI, latency improvements in United Kingdom. VDI, virtual desktop, latency improvements in France, latency improvements in Norway, latency improvements in Korea. Microsoft Teams, Cortana in Teams. So Cortana has now come to the Teams mobile app using AI in the Microsoft Graph to provide voice assistance in Teams to stay connected with your team even when you have your hands full. Click the microphone button in the top right corner and ask Cortana to make a call, join a meeting, send chat messages, share files, and more. Microsoft Edge version 85, support for Microsoft Endpoint DLP. So this adds native DLP controls, data loss prevention controls, to support Microsoft Endpoint DLP policies to prevent cloud egress, print, save, or network or USB for sensitive files. Microsoft Edge version 8.85. Send to OneNote is now available for Microsoft Edge collections. Again, policies to allow admins to choose which file types to automatically open after downloading. So administrators will be able to set a policy to allow a list of extensions to automatically open. This policy will set those extensions to use a default automatically open files of this type list. Microsoft Edge version 85 again. Group policy support for trusting site plus application combos to launch without a confirmation prompt. Microsoft Edge. Policy to allow admins to choose which file types are exempt from file security warnings. Edge version 85, easier configuration and export of favorites for the configure favorites policy. I'm just going to zip through these. Okay, so here we go. So another one, government, DoD, custom mailbox submissions and improvements to the admin submissions. So Microsoft have added some enhancements to the admin submissions functionality for Office 365. You'll now be able to submit .message files plus view more details about submitted content and policies or settings that may have allowed the message to bypass their filters. I do recommend people use this. It is nice. Microsoft does invite you to contribute items that shouldn't have passed their filters. It can only help to train the AI so we all get better spam control going forward. Edge version 85, storage access API is now available. So the storage access API allows access to first-party storage in a third-party context when a user has provided a direct intent to allow storage. I'm interested. Are people interested in hearing about the Microsoft Edge items? I don't think it necessarily fits in with Office 365 or Microsoft 365 content, but it is included in the roadmap. So do let me know if you're interested in the Edge stuff or if you want me to filter that out. Again, Edge version 85, preview version of Enterprise Site List Manager for Internet Explorer mode. Okay, so there's this Microsoft 365 Admin Center. Communication compliance now supports more granular permissions, so I'm sure that will be welcome. SharePoint, cumulative analytics for hubs in SharePoint. So hub owners can now analyze aggregate usage analytics for their SharePoint hub sites, including all associated sites. Going to the site usage page for a hub site will automatically display usage data for all associated sites in the hub. I think that's really useful actually, because we do want to sometimes group those as a collective. Excel, tasks in Excel. So create and assign tasks to collaborators in an Excel workbook to track ownership and get work done. Yet another way to manage and store tasks in Microsoft 365. Advanced e-discovery, direct download, export. Microsoft Teams device tagging functionality. So as part of enhanced manageability, Microsoft have released device tagging functionality. It will enable IT admins to group a specific set of devices with user-generated tags to perform actions on the same. SharePoint. Download SharePoint site usage data in Excel. Microsoft's doing quite well. They're getting better at the analytics here. I think it's still a long way away from any third-party analytics providers out there, but they are getting better at giving some usage. Exchange Online, client access rules support for OAuth, POP and IMAP. So Microsoft are adding client access rules support to OAuth, POP and IMAP and Exchange. Microsoft lists visual updates for Quick Edit. So when in Quick Edit, Microsoft have introduced a number of new and refined user interface updates. So you'll see new grid lines, an improved on-hover experience when using your mouse around the grid, themed colour bars on the side of list items, including error messaging, a create new item button at the bottom for Quick Edit for creating new items inline, and updated column header drop-downs. SharePoint lists and libraries, updated Quick Edit row selection. So when in Quick Edit, people will now see an updated way for selecting single or multiple items in a list or files in a library. This selection update supports existing copy and paste and drag to fill, applicable to multiple rows when using Shift plus selection. This too improves navigating and interacting with a list or library via keyboard keystrokes. I'm really happy to see Microsoft making updates to the Quick Edit. It's something that if people remember the old way of doing Quick Edit in SharePoint on premises, which needed the ActiveX controls, there was a lot of power, a lot of Excel-like capability there. So it's quite nice to see that actually that's coming back to the new Quick Edit mode, because it's something I used an awful lot when doing mass edits to data. So I'm happy to see this coming back in. 33 out of 36, Microsoft Teams channel info pane. So selecting the channel info icon in the channel header will display summary information related to that channel, including the description and a list of recent contributors and members, as well as system messages. SharePoint lists and libraries, a new rich text editor for text fields. We've spoken about this previously. So it'd be nice to see the new rich text editor coming into SharePoint lists and libraries. I welcome that. I didn't really like the new one that we have in Modern, so I'm quite keen to have a look at that. Microsoft Forms, new Office 365 header. So Microsoft Forms will now have a similar look to the other Office 365 family of apps. That's nice to bring the sweet bar properly there. SharePoint lists and libraries, rename title column. So users will be able to rename the title field column and see the name change appear consistently in grid view when in Quick Edit and on the associate view and edit forms. Interesting. So in SharePoint for a very long time, we've very often recommended people not to touch or change that title field. Obviously, the internal name would stay the same. I'm not a fan. I like to leave title as it is, but sometimes it does make sense to change the name of that column. So I'd be interested to see who's using that, who's doing that, and what your experiences are. Maybe there's a lot of muscle memory that is no longer relevant, and maybe it's okay to do that now. Okay, so that's all the items that are launched. So you should now see all of them in your tenant, and they should be available for use. I will be interested if you have any comments or thoughts on them, or if you have looked at them, tell me what you like and what you don't like. So now we can move on to the rolling out. What rolling out means in this sense is you may or may not see this in your tenant. It's started to be pushed out from preview or started to be pushed out from the development areas. So it can often take maybe days or weeks or even sometimes a couple of months for these items to actually land across the whole Microsoft 365 platform. So so you may or may not see them. So the time is now to start talking to your users about what they may see going forward. Get yourself ready for it, and then depending where you are on the rollout rings, then you will see this at some point in the future. Okay, so if you don't see it now, don't worry. You will get it at some point. So we've got 21 of these to get through. So for Microsoft Information Protection, Exact Data Match will support SALT in the data hashing process to improve data security. So this is good, so that you can actually bring your own keys and set your own encryption salts. So even Microsoft then can't have access to your data. So they're doing a lot of great work in protecting our data for us. Okay, Outlook for iOS, SharePoint News and recorded Teams meetings. So your company Discover feed, soon to be renamed Recommended. And there's a roadmap ID there for it as well, will include SharePoint News and access to recently recorded Teams online meetings that's relevant to you. I'd be interested to know where the SharePoint News comes from, which sites get picked up for that. Microsoft Teams, update to the format meeting invitations for Microsoft Teams. So Teams meetings invites are getting a formatting update to make meetings easier to join. The new format will support all the same meeting invite customization Teams supports today. Microsoft Lists, Lists app in Microsoft Teams built on Lists app in Microsoft Teams. So Teams members will be able to both create new lists and add existing ones as tabs in Teams channels. The new Lists app in Microsoft Teams can be accessed by clicking plus to add a new tab and then select Lists to get started. Does anyone struggle saying the Lists app? It just doesn't naturally flow. I find it very difficult to say. Outlook on the web is getting a new tasks experience. So Outlook on the web will update the classic tasks experience with a new experience powered by To Do. This is great, whether you love or hate To Do. Your whole views on the whole Wunderlist debacle from recently, it's nice to see that actually we are consolidating some of the tasks and to-do experiences across the Office 365 platform. That's nice to see. Microsoft Teams is getting suggested replies for iOS. So suggested replies in Teams chat uses sensitive AI to create short responses based on the context of the previous message. Again, I've expressed it before. I'm still on the fence about suggested replies. Anyway, Microsoft Teams suggested replies for Android. Visio. Copy diagrams across Visio files in Visio for the web and Microsoft Teams. So copy your shapes and diagrams across Visio files opened in Visio for the web and Microsoft Teams to extend, merge and modify. And that's great. So if you use Visio in the web browser, the ability to copy and paste between Visio document sessions, that's pretty cool. Words, get a new feature, Designer in Word for the web. So Designer in Word for the web helps you make your document look and feel consistent by understanding the different document constructs and intents. In addition, by providing a variety of document styles, you can quickly change the look and feel of your document. This is pretty cool, actually. I like what's going on here. If you aren't very creative and you need to make a sexy looking document, then this is exactly what it allows you to do. So you put your basic content in, and then it suggests some ideas. Okay, that's not going to give me a demo of it. If you haven't checked it out, that's a good one to look at. Really good for PowerPoint as well. Okay, it's Microsoft Edge version 86. So obviously moving on a version from what we spoke about before, which was 85. This will create a table of content for PDF documents. So Microsoft Edge has added support for table of contents, which enables users to easily navigate through PDF documents. And this will be coming in the Edge version 86. I'm not entirely sure what version I'm currently running. So I'm currently version 85 on this one. So I've got everything that we saw before, and 86 will bring this in. Edge 86, add custom image to the NTP So the new tab page has an option to replace a default image with a custom user supplied image, and the ability to control this feature using group policy has also been added. So that would be if you create a new tab. Okay, I don't really see. It depends what you've got set on there. Edge 86 secure DNS or DNS over HTTPS support. Group policy to enable Microsoft Edge UI to test sites in Internet Explorer mode. Interesting, this is now coming in, even though Microsoft has officially removed support for Internet Explorer. I know in a lot of work we do, we actually just don't support Internet Explorer anymore. I think that's the right move, right? Although we do still need to test so we know where the gaps are. Okay, so Edge 86 remove the HTML5 application cache API. So the legacy application cache API enabling offline use of web pages is being removed from Microsoft Edge. So web developers should review the web.dev documentation for information on replacing the use of application cache API with service workers. So if you are using the application cache API in your work, then you probably need to stop and find a different way of doing it. Microsoft Edge 86, automatic profile switching on Windows 7, 8 and 8.1. So if you've not seen this, if you load up a website, let's say for example powerapps.microsoft.com, what Edge will do is it will identify profiles in Edge. That's these little fellas down here. And it will identify those that have work and school accounts, and it'll say, do you mean to load with this work or school account or that work or school account? It's actually a nice feature. It was a bit annoying when I first saw it, but actually because I go across multiple tenants with multiple Microsoft 365 logins, that becomes very, very useful. I don't know how many users are still using Windows 7, 8 and 8.1. I imagine there's quite a lot, probably most of the NHS if they're even that far in, so I'm sure that'll be useful. SharePoint lists and libraries, fix row height in Quick Edit. So when in Quick Edit, you will see a new layout option, fixed height, within the View drop-down menu. And this layout will adjust the height of all rows in the list or library to the same height to optimize vertical spacing. Add to OneDrive. So add to OneDrive is the capability for customers to add shared folders alongside their own content, which means that instead of finding shared content based on who shared it and how someone shared it with them, users will be able to access the files they care about directly within their OneDrive. That didn't make an awful lot of sense to me. Hopefully it did to you. Maybe it's just because I was reading it. Microsoft Teams NDI for Teams. So NDI for Microsoft Teams converts meeting participants' video into a discrete source that can be used in the production tools for professional broadcasts. Microsoft Forms, progress bar for multiple forms and quizzes. So Microsoft Forms will soon provide a setting on multiple page or multiple section forms and quizzes, which when enabled will show responders a progress bar. This is going to be really good. So it's frustrated me a little bit sending forms out is I think sometimes people can get partway through a form, not have any idea how much they've got left to go, so they quit because they're bored. So if they have a progress bar, they can see the 60-70% through and think, well, do you know what, I may as well go on to the end. So I think that would be really useful. Security and Compliance Center, advanced audit available in GCC, GCC High and DoD. And lastly, in the rolling out category, Office 365 Advanced Threat Protection, enabling export of security reports. There you go. So that's everything that is either rolled out or shortly rolling out. So all of those items you need to be aware of. You need to make your users aware of it and your customers aware of it. So you can immediately become an expert just by following all of that. It also means if people are seeing they should have some functionality but it's not there yet, maybe because it's still rolling out and it's not in your tenant yet. So what we're going to do now is we can move on to the in development category. So this is a bit further out. So these items may not show up in your tenant for a little while. They may not show up at all. They could get cancelled. But it gives you a slightly longer term view of what's happening on the platform. So again, you can just be prepared to support your users and your customers of what's coming up soon. So let's jump straight in. We're about half an hour, so hopefully in another 10 minutes. So this is what Microsoft is now currently working on implementing. So Microsoft Teams, custom meeting images. So admins will now be able to add a customer logo to the Teams experience for display in the lobby and meeting pre-join experience. This logo will be displayed for meetings where the organizer has the advanced comms SKU. That would be quite nice. So again, if you're bringing customers into demos or things like that, then you can actually have your own logo in there, or even your customer's logo. So that would be quite nice. Microsoft To Do, support for push notifications for shared list activities for work and school accounts. So this update has the ability to create Microsoft To Do push notifications to work and school accounts, just as you can in your personal account. Microsoft Visio is getting Azure icons in Visio for the web. Surprised they're not already there. Outlook for iOS, recommended Office information. So the Discover feed of information on the search homepage is changing to recommended and provides quick access to the additional relevant company information based on Microsoft Graph. So that's a rename of a current feature. Discover will become recommended. Outlook for Android, SharePoint news and recorded Teams meetings. More labels in Planner, so you'll be able to add up to 25 labels to your tasks in Planner. That's a lot of labels. Who's using 25 labels on a Planner? Wow, I'd love to know what they are. Okay, file recommendations in Planner. So Planner will recommend related files to attach to your tasks. Interesting. Microsoft Teams, presenter mode for Microsoft Whiteboard in a Teams meeting. So meeting organisers will now have the option to present the contents of their digital whiteboard without meeting participants having the ability to edit the contents. Smart Planner board backgrounds. Add relevant and unique background images to your Planner board through smart recommendations. Oh, really? Background images on Planner boards? That's going to look horrible. No, I don't like that idea. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't think I am. Create a new OneNote page in the Assignments New File dialog menu. When educators are creating assignments or students are attaching work, it's handy to be able to create a new file on the fly. So Microsoft will be adding the ability to create a blank OneNote page that can easily be filled out. Students and educators get a notification when a new class notebook page is distributed. Microsoft Edge version 85, storage access API is now available. Okay, I think there's a duplicate, we've seen that. I think that's pushed through within the same period. Outlook for iOS, change your default email app in iOS 14 settings. So with iOS 14, you can update your settings on your device to have Outlook be your default email app. I thought I could do that already. Guess not. Outlook for Android, use your voice to compose an email. Outlook for iOS, watch email complication with unread email badge count. Watch email complication with unread email badge count. That makes no sense to me. Your email complication. Oh, okay. So the complication, this on iOS, this is the little red dot with the number of items in that, so the number of notifications. That's what the complication is. So your email complication for Outlook will include an unread email badge count on your Apple Watch with watchOS 7. Sorry, I apologise, I got that wrong. Complication, that's they're the little icons on your Apple Watch. So if I just shoot over to my watch, and if I try and show you this, so if you have an Apple Watch, let's see if I can show you this, then it's, put my code in. Those are your complications on the Apple Watch, if you can see it. So that is going to include, if I get his view, so that will include the email count on the Outlook app. So you can see how many unread emails you've got. So that's quite nice. Totally pointless couple of minutes of video there. I do apologise, but hopefully that's useful. Outlook for Android, use your voice to initiate a phone or Teams call. Outlook for iOS, use your voice to create a new calendar event. Let me go back to my screen. You don't want to look at me the whole time. Outlook for iOS, use your voice to compose an email. Outlook for iOS, use your voice to initiate a phone or Teams call. Outlook for Android, use your voice to create a new calendar event. So a lot of work going on the mobile apps, which is nice. Office 365, Office.com UI update. I think we've discussed this one previously. So Office.com is being updated to include a catch-up pane, a single place for you to catch up on all activity related to content you shared. I'm interested, does anyone actually use this page? I know I don't. I have the Office 365 application that sits on my desktop, which I never go into, I never look at. I just go straight to Teams and straight to Outlook and use the content from there. So I'm curious, do people actually use this as a communications tool? Very interested to see what people's feedback is on that, because I know I don't, but maybe I should. Okay, Yammer. Yammer's getting new reactions for post, so users will be able to react to posts in Yammer. The new reactions include like, love, laugh, sad, and celebrate, and thanks. There's a link there if people want to see more on that. Microsoft Edge version 87, so looking a bit further ahead, 2 versions ahead than I currently have on Edge. So anchored text notes support for PDF files. So starting with Edge 87, users can add typed text notes on any piece of text on PDF files. Edge 86, so we're kind of mixing versions here. They're obviously working on multiple versions at the same time. Table of content for PDF. Okay, we've already seen that in rolling out, so that's obviously gone into in development and into rolling out within the same period. That doesn't mean it's a very fast piece of development, just means that Microsoft didn't add it to the roadmap until quite late in its development cycle. 86, Aston, okay, we've already looked at that. Edge 87 automatically switch users to their WIP enabled profile for work sites to authenticate with their work account. So you have always been able to have Edge switch users automatically, like into their WIP enabled work profile for work sites by defining a site list. Starting with Microsoft Edge 87, Microsoft are providing the ability to switch sites that authenticate with your IDP without any site list configuration. I'd really like it, Microsoft, in these roadmap items, if you could not use acronyms. Please don't assume that everyone knows what WIP and IDP mean. If you want to make it useful for users, then please think about it from a user context, not from a techie or a Microsoft context. We don't like acronyms, or at least explain what the acronym is. Okay, Edge 86 version rollback. So rollback lets administrators quicker revert to a known working version of Microsoft Edge if there's an issue in the latest version. Edge 87, open digitally signed PDF files. Edge 86, policy for enterprise to enforce enabling sync by default. So administrators can enable synchronization for Azure AD accounts by default with this new policy. This is great. So one of my favorite things with Edge profiles is the ability to sync with your work or school account. So across all your different devices, your passwords are synced, your settings and favorites and collections are synced. So it's a great feature, and that alone has actually made Microsoft Edge my browser of choice, my favorite browser. I never thought I would say that about a Microsoft web browser, but they've nailed it this time around. Please don't ruin it. Edge 86, new group policy to replace existing diagnostic data policies, metrics reporting enabled, and send site information in down-level Windows and Mac OS. Wow, that's a technical title. You can pause the video and read it, because I am not going to. Microsoft, please make it more easy to talk about. New file sharing experience in Microsoft Teams. So streamline sharing with Microsoft Teams. You will soon be able to create a shareable link for any file stored in Teams and directly set the appropriate permissions. Additionally, you can also set permissions for files stored in SharePoint or OneDrive while composing a private chat or starting a channel conversation. Microsoft Teams, new file viewer released for GCC High. Okay, so we've seen this in other ones, but OneUp file viewer is coming to GCC High. Outlook for Windows, text predictions. So Outlook will provide you with suggested ways to complete the text in your email messages. Just tab to accept and finish emails faster with less typing. I mean, we need to mock something up here, do we need to have a multi-person conversation in Outlook or Teams with suggested replies. Let's just see where the AI takes a decision. I might do that as a little A little play test one day, just for fun. Okay, nearly there. Outlook for iOS, sync contacts, subfolders as category labels. Your Outlook contacts and subfolders in Outlook for Windows or on the web will be labeled with a contact category based on the name of your contact subfolder synced to Outlook for iOS. So I think that means you can put your contacts into subfolders such as customers, partners, suppliers, people I like, people I don't like. And if you put them in your contacts into those subfolders, then your email will be categorized sufficiently. That's pretty cool, actually. I might have to do that, although my contacts list is a freaking mess from the last few years, so I'd need to go and tidy my contacts up a lot. Outlook for Windows, intelligent based translations. So communicate across languages with new translation features, which allow you to translate full messages or specific words and phrases. Microsoft Teams, templates for creation of a new team. So with templates in Teams, users can choose from a variety of customizable templates when creating a new team, helping them get started quickly. IT professionals can also create new custom templates for organization, allowing them to standardize team structures, surface relevant apps, and scale best practices. Interesting to see what I need to have a look into this in a bit more detail, but I'll be very interested to see what the creation process is. So whether we create a team manually and then say this is a template and it gets saved, whether we need to do something more technical like a site design and a site script as we would for a modern SharePoint site. I'll be interested to know what that template creation method is and how techy that is. Microsoft Compliance Center, records management in Microsoft 365 available in Government Cloud. Office 365 Advanced Threat Protection, attack simulation training. So attack simulation training helps customers detect, assess and remediate phishing risk across users through integrated simulations and targeted training campaigns that change user behavior. Well, that sounds pretty cool. That's something I will most certainly be trying in our environment. Microsoft Lists is getting a updated yes/no column experience powered by SharePoint. Microsoft, you don't need to put powered by SharePoint, especially with a question mark at the end of everything to do with Microsoft Lists. I think we get it. We know it's powered by SharePoint, and adding a question mark at the end suggests that you don't know if it's powered by SharePoint or not. So again, please tidy up your roadmap entries. List item. If only someone from the roadmap teams were watching this session. Of course they're not, but you never know. List items with a yes/no column in and out of quick edit mode will appear using the new experience design format, making it easier to create and more accessible to consume. More information here. What a lovely fugly URL. Let's have a look if it shows what the new experience is. Yes, no. Okay, great. So there's a new experience, got a link to it, but it doesn't show us what the new experience is. So, yeah, fine. Nothing extra there. Microsoft Teams. Manage your meeting options in meeting. So meeting organizers will soon be able to view and update meeting options within the while in meeting, making it easier and faster to manage your meeting options during a meeting. Lastly, Microsoft Teams, end of meeting notifications. So Microsoft Teams will automatically issue a 5-minute warning when the meeting is nearing a close, and it will be triggered for all scheduled private and channel meetings. That's going to be interesting how annoying that will be for overrunning meetings. Okay, so that's everything that we have to share today. So that's all the movements in the roadmap over the last 2 weeks. I hope that's useful. As I said at the beginning, I do want to try and keep this as engaging and not boring as possible. So if you do have any thoughts on how we can get through this content in a more engaging way, do you want honking horns if it's a good one and buzzers if it's a bad one or anything like that, or cut out some of the chaff and focus on the hot items? But I kind of want to cover the small items as well. So if you do have thoughts on how this might be more engaging or what I can do to change the format, please do let me know. If you don't give me suggestions, then I won't get you what you want. I'll carry on with this format for now, so hopefully it's a factual exercise for people to go through, but I am welcome to any feedback, good or bad. Just let me know in the comments, reach out to me directly, and I'd love to change this up to make it more engaging. Maybe it just needs better thumbnails, who knows. Okay, so thank you very much for joining me. We've been about 45 minutes, so a little bit longer than I like to, but hopefully not too bad for you. We'll try and get back next week, try and keep it 7 days. In the meantime, I hope you have a fantastic weekend and a great week, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you very much.